1916 The Unknown War, or the original German title whose name I'm not going to pronounce, is an indie game that manages to combine soldiers, dinosaurs, and claustrophobic trenches within a World War I setting. With all of these mixed together, it creates a strange yet horrific scenario that I myself would never expect to mix so well as a serious dinosaur horror game. The Unknown War is a first-person browser game that primarily focuses on you, a lone German soldier trekking your way through the narrow and muddy trenches in the middle of a battlefield. When you start, you're thrown into the game with no explanation or tutorial. The first thing you see is a note that shows your only objective, a ladder, the very thing that will lead you to your escape from the narrow maze. Besides that, you have nothing else, and the only thing you can do from here is walk through the dark and damp trenches where the space is very minimal and claustrophobia inducing. As you explore the maze, it doesn't take you long to realize that you're not alone. You run into the dead body of a fallen comrade, and it is there you find a note that shows a picture of the enemy within the trenches. If you explore just a little further, you eventually run into the enemy itself, a fast, armored, raptor-like dinosaur that chases you throughout the maze until it manages to catch up and kill you. And after that happens, you start all the way back in the beginning, with the first thing that you see being the note ordering you to find the ladder. What you probably didn't see at first was the hint within the note of your dead comrade. It not only reveals what the enemy looks like, but also gives a clue on how to avoid it. From there, you need to rip off the leg of the dead soldier and carry it with you until you inevitably run into the dinosaur again. You eventually come to a fork in the road, with the dinosaur running towards you on one side. You throw the dismembered leg at it, distracting it enough for you to run to the left pathway, which will lead you to more forks and pathways, to which you will need to explore to find other resources that you will need to survive. And going further into the trenches, you will also eventually learn that there are more than just one of these dinosaurs lurking around. You'll find other bodies for you to tear the limbs off of and use as distractions for the dinosaurs. You'll see signs that will guide you through the trenches and even lead you to the ladder. You'll find a bunker that serves as a safe haven from the dinosaurs, as they aren't able to get inside. The bunker has a map to help you navigate the trenches better, along with a rifle and extra ammunition, although it will prove to be almost useless as the dinosaurs' armor are able to withstand the power of the bullets. You'll also find an area that contains toxic gas that will kill you in a matter of seconds if you try to go through it. But in order to get to the ladder, you have to travel through this area. Fortunately, if you explore the maze long enough, a gas mask can be found being worn by another dead soldier. Acquiring this mask will make it so you can freely walk through the toxic gas without losing any health, although the dinosaurs seem to be immune to the gas and are able to run through it no problem. If you follow the signs that lead you to the ladder, you eventually come to the end of the toxic gas area, and from there, the ladder is just straight ahead. All you have to do is run as fast as you can and avoid the last dinosaur. Once you make it to the ladder, the final segment plays out. It shows you from a first-person perspective running swiftly through an active battlefield above the trenches, with a violent mix of gunshots, explosions, screaming, and roaring. You see glimpses of destroyed vehicles, dead soldiers, and more dinosaurs running around, before one jumps out from the trenches and ultimately kills you. All that is left is a white screen, with depressing music playing in the background, and the game ends. The game is very short and to the point. There are even playthroughs of it on YouTube that go as little as 3 to 4 minutes, showing you how minimal this game really is. But despite this, it is in no way lacking on the horror, because even with such a small time frame of actual gameplay, it manages to expose us to a genuinely terrifying situation. There's very little information given to you, and even after completing the game, you're left with more questions than answers. This may play into the idea that the thing we as humans fear the most is the unknown, which could also be playing into the game's title, but it's possible that can be up for interpretation, or maybe has more of a historical significance to it. 1916 The Unknown War was made in just 1 month and was released on March 30th of 2011 by a group of DADIU students. The DADIU, otherwise known as the Danish National Academy of Digital Interactive Entertainment, is a Danish program that reels in students from various universities and art schools from the region interested in video game development. The purpose for this program is best described in an article by Video Game Tourism, who states, "The founding idea of the Danish National Academy for Digital Interactive Entertainment, DADIU, established in 2005, is to provide the Danish games industry with an academic test laboratory and to positively influence its development. The overall goal for this program is to be able to let their students design the kind of game they want to make as a team, and be able to freely construct said game without having to worry about lacking the proper resources or being pressured in any way. In doing it this way, the students are able to be creative and experiment with their ideas." The way the program works is that students are put through a full-time semester-long class that involves lectures, workshops, and video game productions. The program typically accepts students in the field of game, audio, and level designing, along with game and art directors, project managers, animators, and so on to participate in the course and eventually in the video game production. During the video game productions, the class is split into teams of 20 and are supposed to function as a normal video game studio would. They are given just 6 weeks to design a fully playable game from the ground up and showcase it to the public for evaluation. As a result, there's typically a wide variety of games released, and in the several years that the DADIU program has been doing this, the games have ranged from point-and-click adventure games to disturbing horror games to racing games. There doesn't seem to be any real limit to the students in terms of what they can and cannot make a video game on. There are many talented people that have participated in this program that have taken the skills they've learned throughout the course to make it as producers and designers in the industry. One person that was accepted into the program as a video game director goes by the name of David Adler, who is considered to be one of the DADIU's most successful graduates. Adler is responsible for directing not one, but 2 games during his time in the program, with one of them being 1916: The Unknown War. The second is a game known as A Mother's Inferno, another horror-related game, except in this one it focuses on a mother who loses her son on a train and has to encounter the 5 demons of loss to get him back. An interview by Video Game Tourism shows that Adler takes the job as a video game director very seriously, and strives to immerse the player into a world that, although small and short, still manages to have a lot of depth to it. During the interview, he states, "I want to create experiences for curious minds, and I believe that games are an ideal medium to explore subjects that go beyond language. I hope to make games that a lot of people play, because it is only when the game is being played that it has any meaning. That said, I think that the player must keep an open mind for new and different experiences." Seeing how Adler is no stranger to video production and cinematography, with his father being a cinematographer in the works of fiction and documentaries, and his mother working in the field of production design, it's no wonder how he's able to capture the sheer terror and intensity that lie within something like 1916. In another interview by Video Game 24/7, he also says, "We aimed at hitting one note on the player's emotional palette, and that was fear." But one thing that I've been asking myself this entire time is, what about the dinosaurs in all of this? Why are they here? What are they supposed to represent? Why, out of all things, did Adler decide to incorporate dinosaurs into the game? Throughout the interview, Adler unfortunately doesn't specify why the dinosaurs are a part of the game or what role they're supposed to play besides the villain of the story. The reason why I'm genuinely curious about this decision to add dinosaurs within this kind of game is because, to me, this doesn't even really feel like a dinosaur game, but rather a game that simply has dinosaurs in it. It's clear that the primary focus of this game was oriented around the player's experience and not the dinosaurs. So with that said, I doubt this is a case in which the team was trying to contribute to the dinosaur horror game genre, even though the demand for that wouldn't be more prominent until years later. The team could have chosen anything else, zombies, aliens, monsters of their own imagination, yet they decided to go with dinosaurs. Now, one interesting thing I did notice throughout the interview were the few images of large bugs that were posted throughout that were labeled 1916 artwork concept. Does this mean the original idea for the game's enemy wasn't even going to be dinosaurs, but rather large bugs? Unfortunately, not much is said about the concept images in this interview, despite being showcased all around. It's also possible that it would have shown up in the game's full release, which we will get into in a bit. But going back to why dinosaurs are even in the game in the first place, I did eventually find something interesting in an interview with David Adler given by Video Game 24/7. During the interview, Adler admits that he comes from an ignorant generation, one that is unaware of seemingly random subjects like dinosaurs and World War I. This leads him to explain his thoughts on the war from his limited perspective. He states, "The First World War was when the world lost its innocence. All hell broke loose, and what happened couldn't be understood. The rules of civilization didn't make sense after the powerful nation states sent their young men to the front where they slaughtered each other. It was a conflict as nonsensical as trying to fight a dinosaur." Adler also mentioned how putting these two subjects together in a game makes it stand out from your typical shooter game. Instead of hunting for the animal, you are the very thing that is being hunted throughout the entire game. In my opinion, the game certainly does its job well in delivering the fear to its audience. I myself even got a chance to play it, as I was able to get it for free on ModDB. And I was scared shitless. If you guys want to check out this game for yourself, the link for it will be down in the description below. As far as where David Adler is now in terms of other projects, I can't say, as I couldn't really find much about it. After doing a little bit of research, I found out that if you go onto the DADIU site that features all of their games made from 2011 on, you'll see both of Adler's games, 1916 and A Mother's Inferno. Clicking on A Mother's Inferno will lead you to a linked trailer of the game uploaded to Adler's Vimeo page. If you go on there, you won't find much at all. It's practically empty, having only 3 videos uploaded there, with the last one being uploaded years ago. Aside from this, I couldn't find much on Adler, although one thing I noticed throughout the couple of interviews he had was the mention of a full version of 1916, which would include something called tank maggots according to the video game's 24/7 interview. This would explain the maggot concept art that was shown in the previous interview. Apparently, Adler had said that he was aiming for a 2013 release for the full version of 1916, and was targeting platforms like Steam, PlayStation Network, and Xbox Live Arcade to release the game on. However, this never seemed to happen. It could be possible that this game could make a comeback, especially with the current high demand of dinosaur horror games now, but it could also be possible that Adler just abandoned the project. Regardless, we at least have this version of the game that now serves as an obscure relic in dinosaur video games.